Once guardian of the Eternal Glade, the autumnal wind has led her Mistwood Rangers from that hallowed place in pursuit of the destiny which now calls to her. Few have ever seen Lorsann's face, for death usually comes long before such an event, or for those fortunate few, quickly thereafter. Lorsann The Autumnal Wind and Mistwood Rangers are a Slayer expansion set to either the Eternal Glade or Borderlands starter sets to Godtear. It is integratable with both, and, much like all other Slayers, is centred around taking out other champions. Unlike other Slayers, Lorsann is very unlikely to be in the midst of the battlefield. Being an archer, she is better at ranged battle, and all of her abilities centre more heavily on that ranged battle at a greater distance, more like a sniper, akin to taking out a single enemy with one massive blow at a time. The Mistwood Rangers work very similarly in that they are ranged attackers, however they can benefit from both being together and apart dependent on the situation, gaining bonuses from having greater groups but also being perfect for the distraction or quick takeout of enemy followers. Lorsann is arguably one of the more mobile Slayer champions, being able to move 3 paces at a time in her no-move action, but also having the shoot and scoot ability allowing her to move anytime she inflicts a single wound or more to an enemy, making her perfect for get-in, get-out situations and taking out enemies whilst also sticking to the shadows. As far as Slayers goes, Lorsann is incredibly standardised. She has 2 movement during the preparation phase, 4 dodge, which is relatively high, a single shield, and 6 health. It seems very balanced across the board. However, her abilities are more centred on that preparation for the clash phase, entirely centred on increasing her ability to hit and reducing the enemy's abilities to defend. Although I did say she was the most mobile of all champions, during this phase she can be quite limited and is reliant on already being in a good position, or relying on already being in the position, or being in preparation to move into the position that she needs to be in the clash phase. During the clash phase, her speed increases, but all of her stats stay the same, and this is where she is more centred on that immediate damage on a single target. Piercing Shot is an ability that enables Lorsann to immediately give an enemy a wound. It has 3 range and 5 aim, and is perfect for taking out pesky followers. Mystic Arrow, after the Mystic Arrow damage roll, you may make a 5 damage attack roll against the target, is again superb, because once you have done that damage, you can then do another set of damage once again. This means that you have an arrow that reflects back on itself and hits twice, meaning that it could be a massive amount of damage. And finally, Snipe, which is the absolute pinnacle of Lorsann's abilities. It has 3 range, but it has 8 aim, meaning that it is the most likely to hit attack that I have seen across all Godtear champions. However, the 4 damage dice does make it a little bit less effective, but this is always in conjunction with other champions, meaning that she is perfect for either the mop-up or for the setup. All of Lorsann's attacks have a 3 range to them, which is relatively large compared to some other Slayers. However, it is still in that positioning of sticking to the outsides of battlefields and needing to manoeuvre quickly around, meaning that you will spend at least 1 action every turn using movement. It's not an issue in action because a lot of this can be prevented using Shapers. However, it does mean that Lorsann does need to already be in the position to take the hits and take the shots. And if not, she will be spending those single action movements and only being able to make single attacks in her turn. Lorsann is designed to be a sniper through and through, and she will sit quite happily on the sides of the battlefield, taking pot shots at champions as they go by and killing followers with ease. However, I have found that Lorsann with these abilities is absolutely perfect for creating a bottleneck effect. If you have her centre stage just on the outside of a battlefield, you are preventing enemies from going within 3 hexes of her, meaning that she can very easily control remote Godtears and really set up those totems ready to be claimed. It's unlikely that any champions or followers will want to get near Lorsann, but if any do, her movement does enable her to move very quickly away, and the fact that she is able to move when she has made any level of damage against an enemy also sets her up for that double strike combo to attack once and then attack again, side by side, moving ever so slightly, really positioning and having control of that area. Lorsann's theme and aesthetic screams nature, almost druidic, elf-like stylings. A lot of her robes, designs, all look like they are parts of nature. Her hair is an auburn red, which looks like autumnal leaves falling on the imagery, and all of her followers are draped in robes that do scream almost an fantasy elf-ish style. There's an almost wisdom in their faces as well, which really builds into that knowledge of the world around them and that wisdom of age. This is definitely not my favourite aesthetic across all of Godtear. In fact, I'd definitely say that the actual styling is one of my least favourite. But that doesn't mean that I can't appreciate what is there. Lorsann's model is stunning and is able to stand on a single leg, looking like she is in action moving, really emphasising that movement and strike and move style. Her followers look rich, noble, but followers nonetheless, loyal to their master, ensuring that she can become the next Godtear champion. Her banner is a bit of an odd one in my opinion. I do love the styling of it and I think it looks wonderful, but in the Slayer Red, it's one of the few models that I think looks correct. This is a very nature-esque style. This is very dependent on that wisdom of the world, of the forest, of the autumnal wind and the Mistwood Rangers. Even the names scream greens and browns, earthy colours. And this red model just doesn't fit within that. Were I a painter, this would have been painted immediately into a woody green with those vines wrapped around it and it'd look fantastic. This is one of the few models I do feel like cannot stay unpainted and absolutely needs that colour, that theme to be really emphasised for it to fit, because it is a gorgeous model. It just does not work in the Slayer Red. The model for Lorsann herself looks fantastic. You can see the scale armour all across her body and her bow, a really striking pose within that. Everything is designed beautifully and works fantastically to really emphasise not only a determined elf trying to take on enemies, but a nimble one at that. It's a fantastic looking model, but again, I think it's one that cannot stay in that Slayer Red and absolutely needs that lick of colour just to really pop on the battlefield. Lorsann only has 3 followers, which is quite a low number compared to many other Slayers. Couple that in with their singular health point and singular defence point, and the odds can seem quite stacked against them. However, these are followers that are not designed once again to be in the middle of the battle. Much like Lorsann, they really, really succeed when it comes to defence, holding positions and striking from afar. Their preparation phase abilities includes Blur, which allows them to increase their dodge from 3 to 4. They have the Fairy Fire effect, which, like Lorsann, allows them to reduce the defence of an enemy. They also have the Kill Shot innate ability, which, when the target is a wounded enemy champion, the Mistwood Rangers once again gain an extra attack die. Their main abilities inside of the Clash phase are Aim, which allows them to increase their aim die, and then they can Fire, which is just a straight attack, and this benefits from having multiple Mistwood Rangers fronting their space. However, these guys can also benefit from being separated and being able to take strategic positions across the sides of the battlefield to really control and bottleneck the enemy. I've had fantastic success with these followers, having them in strategic positions to prevent other followers from getting close. They have 3 range, which is fantastic, particularly when other followers may only have 1 or 2 moves per turn. Couple that in with the fact that they also get 3 moves and they become very mobile, in and out strike tactic ability users. Couple that in with the fact that they have 3 move and they become very, very sneaky in their application. You're in, you shoot, and then you're out, and there's not a lot else to it. These are well and truly worth having on the battlefield, but my biggest qualm with them is that because there were only 3, I would have hoped that they would have had an increased health pool. However, only having 1 health point isn't always the end of the world. They are just fodder, in my opinion, because it's that immediacy of which they can strike, which is their biggest benefit, not having longevity. If they are taken out, recruiting them next to Lorsann means they should already be out of the battlefield if Lorsann is being used effectively, meaning that even if they are taken out, they are immediately back in the battle and immediately in a good position to start striking once again. I find the Mistwood Rangers' ability very much a diluted version of Lorsann's, and that is not to say that it's a negative. These are fantastic followers that are able to make really important strikes at the right times, taking out enemy followers and gradually chipping away at those champions who may not be as quick as others. I do just want to quickly touch on Lorsann's super ability. It's not a guaranteed hit and it's not groundbreaking, but it is superb in the right moment and at the right time. Death Blow, and the hit effect is that the target gains 2 wounds. This is within 3 range and with 6 aim. Now, unlike many other abilities from champions, this one actually allows you to move steps if you are able to get a kill. And it says the target gains 2 wounds, meaning if this was an end of round final moment, you could use it to take out a follower just to get those extra steps. It isn't something that I think is an integral element of Lorsann's play, nor do I think it is the reason Lorsann is so fantastic, but it is one of the smaller elements in her character that allow you to use her to a fantastic benefit and be able to really control that battlefield and, in a pinch, take someone out, then quickly get away. Lorsann is a superb slayer. She is perfect for those strategic positioning moments. Not all slayers need to be in the middle of the battlefield, and Lorsann is an excellent example of this. Her ranged abilities, her constant striking, her ability to nip in and out of positions, and even her followers are all superb in that ranged battle, that taking it from afar, that final blow, that final strike. They really, really trump all of the champions I've played at being able to strike from a distance with a guarantee to have a likelihood of hitting. Compared to Morrigan, she absolutely wipes the floor in terms of range. I'm a big fan of Morrigan because I think that she is an underused and underappreciated champion, because those rolls, when used well, do make a big hit. But the problem is the number of dice you get and the guarantee. Lorsann has that guarantee because of her ability to strike at range, her ability to have so many dice. That snipe ability will be your most used tool in any skirmish because of how well you can strike and how likely it is to do damage. The Mistwood Rangers, I find, are a superb addition to any warband, but I don't think that they will supersede your need for Lorsann. It's fantastic that they can strike from afar, but because they are a lot more squishy, they aren't going to be ones that you will want to risk having in stupid positions. It's easier to have them split up and somewhere separate rather than using them as pure fodder to run in and attract the enemy attention. In that same way, if you are wanting to use them as guaranteed hits, you are going to lose that ability to strike from different positions because they will need to be all together to increase that dice amount. I have been part of clashes where Lorsann has been the absolute trump card for warbands, and I've also played clashes where Lorsann has been quite underused, and it's very situational. But for me, it's a big thing to have Lorsann as that beacon point, that bottleneck, striving to prevent enemies from getting close as opposed to just staying on the outskirts. If you were to want her to be an outskirt sort of champion, you'd need someone dead centre to really control that field. In example of Skullbreaker, another Slayer champion, being able to make massive hits, a fantastic synergy with Lorsann is to have him make those massive hits and have Lorsann mop up afterwards. And because they're both Slayers, you will get the extra steps on the ladder when you take out those champions. In the same way, I do feel like she is a fantastic combination with Shale, because Shale's entire gimmick is to have that massive follower, but also to be able to move hexes. And if you're able to move hexes and shift where enemies are, Lorsann's going to be much safer and often in better positions to make those strikes. I can't lie when I do say, though, that Lorsann is very much a one-trick pony. She will make really good hits from afar, but that is all she will be used for. If you are wanting to get her to place banners down, then you are going to need to ensure that she is near a remote hex so that she is able to place it and then defend it. If any champions get close, Grimgut, Skullbreaker, any champion that can make a really hard hit, Lorsann is going to be in a lot of danger because she only has 1 defense point and 6 health, and I have seen some massive rolls from those champions, and I have seen Lorsann fall because of it. On the flip side of this, she isn't entirely a glass cannon because her dodge does allow her to have some longevity, and it only takes 1 or 2 good results for her to be able to escape, get back, and regroup. Coupling her with someone who can grant a lot of boons is going to be really helpful, but also being able to combine her with someone who has got a multitude of followers will also help. I'm still a firm believer that you need to limit the number of followers you've got to ensure that you aren't overwhelmed by the battlefield and spreading yourself too thick in certain areas and too thin in others. But at the same time, I do feel like if you aren't using her with lots, you are going to make her more of a target. Because when you've got Maelstrom characters moving around and taking out those followers, you don't want the Mistwood Rangers to be that target. You want them to be on the outside, striking inwards. And even worse, if they run out of followers to strike, you don't want them chasing Lorsann because she is a weaker target. I think a good combination for Lorsann in my head is always going to be Kaylin, because the virtues gain extra health compared to other followers and also have that virtue ability where they're able to simultaneously do things, allowing them to control that battlefield on top of what Lorsann can do. The difference is they'll be doing it from close quarters, where Lorsann will be able to strike from afar. Other combinations that I know work are Shale, as I previously mentioned, but also Mournblade, because Mournblade is able to use his followers to hold enemies in position, allowing Lorsann more freedom of movement without the risk of being chased. Another optional combination, which I haven't actually tried myself but is on my list, is a combination of Lorsann and Styx, using those Abyssal Hounds to drag enemies away from Lorsann's position and having Lorsann take those shots to take out the other champions. She is not designed to claim Godtears, but she is designed to get that covering fire and mop up, and if you can use her to really control the field, she is absolutely superb. If you are looking for a new Slayer champion who can hit successfully with a guarantee of damage, if you're looking for a Slayer who works really well at giving that cover fire and moving quickly, if you're looking for someone who can work really well with Shapers who can manipulate the battlefield, or anyone else who's able to control enemy position, then I think Lorsann The Autumnal Wind and Mistwood Rangers are a fantastic addition to any warband, and I would highly recommend this champion set.